I think a lot of people can relate to the frustration of running into injuries with track. It's like 99% of the time, you're just figuring out how you got injured in the first place. And when I run into injury, I always start to rethink my entire life, at least how it relates to training and how I can improve my lack of self-control. So on a day where I was doing a tempo workout, I was feeling pretty good, unusually good given the calf issues I've had in the past. And if I had to describe this good feeling, I would say I felt rather springy, even when I wasn't on my feet, not even fully warmed up yet. So I took this feeling with a bit of excitement and decided to put my springs to the test, even though doing so wasn't really in the program and my coach and I hadn't really discussed doing extra stuff yet. I thought it'd be fine to hop out of my ordinary routine that I'd been so consistent with over the last 4 months to try on some pogo hops. And I take a moment to think about what I'm going to do. Absolutely nothing should go wrong here if I push myself even just a little bit. So I take my first hop. Okay, nice. And then the second hop. And then something's not right because I start to feel something grow in the soleus muscle of my left calf, the one that I had problems with before. And yeah, it's not good. It must have cramped or something, hopefully not worse, because when I stop jumping and I touch it, it's like ice. It's completely frozen stiff. It's turned into this petrified mound of tissue that's white knuckling itself. So I'm thinking now, what did I just do in this situation? When things like this happen, I have no choice but to finish out the session and see what is wrong with my life, or at least that's where my train of thought goes. So for an entire week after, I'm low-key freaking out about the whole timeline of my training and what I have to do now to get back to my health, even if my injury isn't that bad. And it's this exact cycle of getting excited, jumping off the program, then getting injured, because I don't have the awareness to self-restrain in the first place, and it makes this whole track ordeal really quite frustrating. And sometimes it's not even in little moments like this, it's like a systemic thing that I find in my training, because there was a few weeks ago where, again, I'm really consistent, getting all my lifts in, getting all my sessions done, making sure I go hard, even on the lighter days. And this time, I do what's written, everything that my coach and I have discussed, because I'm trying to get as much done as possible, especially throughout the warm-up. So I do a little bit more. I would nail all my skips, all my fast leg drills. I'd throw in some extra activation. And on top of that, I do some single leg hops and bounds. And I feel fine during these, nothing out of the ordinary. But by the time I get to the main set, something feels off again. And again, because this feeling seems to follow me for a few workouts. It's this feeling where I'm drained during my main sets. And I thought it was the amount of gym work I was doing, which might be partially true. And I thought it might have been the amount of sleep I was getting, which might also be partially true. But it wasn't until I started weaning off the amount of drill work that I was doing in the warm-up that left me gassed for the main set. And it frustrates me because I spent all this time and effort trying to understand why I feel the way I do, and the answer is always in front of me the entire time. Or it's not. I could just be weak overall, but this is a more tame version, I would say, of lack of awareness and self-restraint, but nevertheless frustrating because it's like I can lose at both ends of training. Too much training and it leads to injury. Take away too much and improvements aren't optimal. So in my efforts to find more restraint, because I think that's what I have more trouble with, I've tried to detach myself from the injuries I have at the moment by giving myself some opportunities to try and skip training and do more of nothing. And what I found to be useful to do this is meeting a girl. So I met this girl and we're hanging out, doing lots of activities that I would usually do by myself, but now it's like I have an excuse to do them even more. And it's really like a 2-for-1 special because we have a wholesome time and I get a free distraction from track and field. But then the fear starts to creep back into my mind that the pendulum is swinging too far in the direction where I start to avoid training to my detriment. But she's gonna be gone soon anyway. She's leaving the country, so in the meantime, we'll see if this will give me some R&R to get a break from my injuries and whatever else we can figure out. And yeah, regardless, I realize running into injury isn't really my fault, at least in terms of failed self-restraint because, I've never been in a situation where I need to think about this stuff. I think about how I would keep track of everything with the software, and part of me thinks it could work. But with the technology, it's so far behind and such a big undertaking for me that I'm thinking about releasing it all for free so there can be like a real community aspect to it. If you're interested in that, and if you want a free program written by my coach, he coaches Noah Lyles and like all the other Olympians in the Pure Athletics crew, you can sign up for the email list and you'll be in the loop for the plans forward. I'm just trying to get more people on board before I start doing anything.